In one of the previous videos, in the video where I describe my solution to the Fermi paradox, the solution that I like to call the Aranda conundrum, I don't just like it because it rhymes. I do like the name that I thought up for it, but also I like it because I think it's a good idea. I don't know if I'm right, but I like the idea. So, anyways, though, so in that video towards the end, I suspect I might have left the impression that I think UFOs are extraterrestrial. To be completely honest, I do not know if they're extraterrestrial. I do not have any special information. I've seen exactly the same videos everybody else have seen, and some of them are pretty interesting, but as far as from what I have seen, none of them, at least in my opinion, are conclusive. But nevertheless, I figured I should go ahead and make a video about how likely I think UFOs are extraterrestrial interplanetary vehicles. So I guess this video is going to be about UFOs. I actually get that question a lot. Do I believe in UFOs? It's actually the wrong question, or at the very least, it's phrased wrong. Even though I know that this is not what they mean, but what they're literally asking me is, do I believe people when they say that they see objects up in the sky that they cannot readily identify? And even after those people explain it to a third party, maybe an expert, the expert cannot identify it. Do I believe them? And the answer is yes, I do believe them. My first instinct is not to think that they're lying, unless there's a good reason for it, of course. But that's not really what they're asking me, right? What they really want to know is if do I believe that UFOs are extraterrestrial vehicles? And that is a much harder question to answer. Most scientists will stay away from this type of study, partially to avoid ridicule, but mostly in and maybe a more substantial reason that it's really hard to apply science to this type of issues. In science, when you come up with an idea, you're supposed to test your idea. Or how are you going to test it when the object, whatever it was up in the sky, is long gone? So, at least in this instance, for lack of a better word, science is inadequate. But nevertheless, I'm going to do my best to come up with how likely I think UFOs are interplanetary vehicles. When faced with a question like this, a pretty big question that is not easy to answer, a way to attempt to answer it is to break down the question into multiple, smaller, hopefully answerable questions. The first question I want to try to answer is, does life exist outside of Earth? Is life prevalent through the universe, or is it limited to Earth? As of yet, science cannot answer this question, but I can answer it. I can answer it mathematically. The odds are too great. It's beyond consideration that life would be limited to Earth. And not only would life be prevalent throughout the universe, it's likely prevalent through our solar system. There's a few places within our solar system, the moons of Saturn and Jupiter, that life probably exists. The second question is, does that life that we are certain exists throughout the universe, does it evolve into intelligent life? Are there civilizations out there like us and maybe even more advanced than us? Again, the answer is yes, and not just yes, but a definite yes. What I mean, again, is that it cannot be a no. The odds are too great to even consider that life, intelligent life, would be limited to Earth. The third question, does these civilizations that we expect to exist throughout the universe, do they evolve the technology to traverse the stars? Are they able to get here from there? The answer again is yes, but it's not a definite yes. There's a caveat. The caveat being, do they last long enough? Are there civilizations out there that are 1,000,000 years old, maybe even 1 billion years old? If that's the case, then the answer would have to be a yes. Given enough time, as long as those civilizations have existed enough time to have developed the technology, there's no reason, no real reason to suspect that they could not. Ultimately, the question is, do civilizations survive themselves? Do they survive their own vicious tendencies to their fellow men? The one example we have of a civilization, which is ourselves, it doesn't look so good. We've come to the brink of nuclear war multiple times. So I guess in the future, I'll answer the question if I believe that UFOs are extraterrestrial. I'll have to answer the question by saying that I don't know, but that there's no reason that they could not be extraterrestrial. And in fact, we should hope that they are. Because if they are extraterrestrial, that means that they survive their own suicidal tendency. That strongly implies that we might survive our own, that our instinctive tribal nature, that we might eventually overcome it. So I guess my ultimate question would be that I hope that UFOs are extraterrestrial. Because if they're not extraterrestrial and civilizations out there don't last long enough to travel the stars, that means that strongly implies that we will not as well. I guess that's it.